Okay. What is good, everybody? It is your boy Lincoln Clay coming back at you. You have to excuse me. It sounds like a tornado up in here to cut these fans down. Just got done doing that Beat Saber with the latest music pack on there. Got the body temperature up, had me burning up a little bit. Got to circulate some air around here and cool off. Anyway, how's everybody doing tonight? You know what to do. Hit the bell icon, hit the like button, help spread the content to a wider audience. I would appreciate it. And if you're new to the channel, welcome aboard. Hope you're enjoying the content. And so, a few things I want to talk about because there was a kind of a lot that transpired over the last, I'd say, 36 hours. But first things first, I want to give an update on my PC. I went to the Best Buy website, and my PC is currently at the service center. It has been unboxed and staged in the repair area. With that being said, given what is believed to be wrong with the PC, if they move their asses, I would like to think they could get it fixed tomorrow morning and get it shipped back out tomorrow afternoon. Which I probably wouldn't get it back until Tuesday or Wednesday, even if they got up off their ass and moved it. So I don't expect to get it back until next weekend. But in any case, I want it back because I'm missing it. So is my son. And so, and again, I want to thank everybody who tuned in to my Beat Saber stream. They did the new song pack. The new song packs came out today. You got 10 songs for about $13, which I think is a reasonable price. The songs, they're not bad. I mean, they're not nothing that had me jumping out of my socks. But they're okay. You know, it's definitely a change of pace. And I knew there was a strong possibility there was going to be some songs on there that, you know, wouldn't really move me that much. So it is what it is. I'm definitely going to continue to play those new songs. The way the mapping is laid out for those new songs, if you play it on expert, it is definitely going to be a challenge. It is definitely going to be a workout. So I am glad that we do finally got some more music. It's been long overdue. And on another tidbit of information, I guess someone tweeted on Twitter that they sold 1 million units of Beat Saber, and the new update, I guess, caused some mods to crash. So I guess no custom songs for now for Beat Saber on the PC. I'm assuming that'll be fixed by the time I get my PC back. Once I get my PC back, I'm going to get this Streamlab thing together. So I can start using the Streamlabs to do my streams on the PC, so I can start seeing comments when I do these streams, because that really is, you know, some extra work having to take the headset off, check my phone, all that kind of crap periodically. I think it, you know, takes away from the experience, it takes away from the stream. So we'll have that rectified. And once my PC comes back, I'll be playing Beat Saber on there, so I can you know, bring in my own tracks, because I'm an old school R&B dude, so I'd love to be able to play some of my old R&B music on Beat Saber. So I will be doing that. And so I think that's about it as far as the pre-shit goes. And so getting into the news, as a lot of you know, a rumor got out yesterday that Sony was on the verge of buying Take-Two Interactive. When that news first reached me, when somebody uses the term on the verge, that means that the deal was close to being done. I took that as the deal was probably done in principle. It was probably a matter of the handshake and lawyers drawing up contracts. So I took that with a grain of salt. I didn't take that as concrete evidence that the deal was done, but at the same time, I wasn't going to go into this theory like, no, it can't happen. There's no way. Sony can't do it, blah, blah, blah. What probably happened was this, this, and this. I wasn't, I'm not going to go through all these, different scenarios and try to say that it wasn't going to happen. So I took it with a grain of salt. If it would have turned out to materialize, I think it would have changed the landscape of console gaming. I did have some interesting thoughts though, if they would have bought it though. I guess Take-Two they're worth about $14 billion, and people were speculating that Sony probably had about $13 billion in cash reserves. That doesn't mean that if Sony was interested in buying them, it doesn't mean that a payment plan couldn't have been worked out. Who's to say that Sony wouldn't have gave them half the money up front and then maybe give them $1 billion a year, for the remainder of the balance. So who's to say that couldn't have been done? So if Sony would have wanted them bad enough, they would have found a way to make it work. But now some news has come out about some damn trader note getting passed, and somebody misunderstood it and started spreading misinformation and all that kind of shit. I'm not going to try to speculate on what the fuck happened because I wasn't there. So I'm taking this rumor with a grain of salt, just like I took yesterday's rumor with a grain of salt. So I guess that rumor is false. Sony is not buying Take-Two, and that's the end of that. So now moving on to the next subject. This censorship shit. I understand, I think it was, I don't know what game it was, Devil May Cry or something like that. A character in the game, I guess their ass crack was exposed and Sony censored it, which got a lot of people upset. And at first I didn't think anything of it. I could care less about it, because some games are going to have nudity in it and some games are not. I mean, I think the Grand Theft Auto games have probably had some nudity in it or damn close, and I mean, one Grand Theft Auto game, basically showed a guy in a car, and you see the chick's head bopping up and down, and what she's doing. And when she got done, she stuck her head out the window and started, coughing up the what. So this censorship shit, again, when I first, got wind of it, I didn't really think anything of it. And then yesterday, I was listening to Sick Humor's podcast on Pull Up, and he had King Thrash and a few other people on there, and they were talking about that subject. And to kind of paraphrase Thrash, I'm not gonna go, what he said word for word. I can't remember everything he said word for word, but what it came down to, he thinks that Sony probably, censored that ass crack because something happened. He's guessing that something probably happened to them before. They cost them some money. Maybe they got fined or something like that and didn't want to have to go through it again. And I think that's a possibility. I think the other possibility could be that that maybe Sony did not want any backlash from possible SJWs or feminist groups or whoever. And I sincerely hope that's not the case, because I'm really tired of the SJWs. I'm just ready for them to go away, because they're more destructive than productive. everywhere they go and everywhere they open their mouth trying to promote something, they end up subtracting from it. You know, they got involved in that shit with Battlefield. Look how that turned out. They're going through this shit with Captain Marvel, and the game and the movie is underperforming. So they need to just shut the fucking mouths and stay out of it, you know, stay out of shit, you know, because they destroy shit everywhere they go instead of making shit better. In this goal to try to have an all woman America. I'm just really tired of those bitches. I wish they just go away. So Jemiah Dixon, what is up? So, but you best believe that I am going to be on the lookout moving forward to see what other games have nudity or partial nudity in it. And if it does, wait to see what the reaction is, because I think America, when it comes to censorship, are, you know, the biggest hypocrites on the planet. You know, people going nuts over a woman in a bikini or something like that, and then half these motherfuckers is at strip clubs, chicks walking around with, you know, they thongs sticking out the top of their you know, fucking yoga pants. You know, and women have been walking around with, you know, cleavage showing ever since titties was invented. You said Captain Marvel was at 550 million. I'm under the impression that, you know, I wouldn't call the movie a flop, but I'm under the impression that the movie has not met goals. And I have not been watching his videos, but, you know, but the quartering, you know, several of his videos have shown that, you know, Disney has pulled some strings to try to have negative opinions of the movie removed. So, I mean, the movie is actually crushing it. I plan to see the movie. I'm just not gonna go to the theater to watch it because it's been out long enough now that that I'm not gonna go to the movies and see it. I'm just gonna wait for it to come to DVD. It's a movie that I've been interested in. I just wish these fucking feminine groups would stay out of this shit. You know, just let a movie be a movie. I mean, it's starting to get to a point where a fucking movie or a video game cannot come out without there being some kind of gendered, you know, some kind of gender shit tied to it. It's just like it's really getting out of hand. But I heard the game got, you know, mixed reviews. Me, not game, the movie. The more you try to fight SJWs, the more you feed them. Look at Anita. I think it's the other way around, Jemiah Dixon. I think the more the SJWs open their mouth, the more they fuck shit up. Because it's almost like they're saying when it comes to movies and video games, it's almost like they're saying we demand that a woman be in the lead role and we demand that you men go and see it and we demand that you enjoy it, you know. And it's like when they do that kind of shit, you know, and try to force that narrative on people, it's, you know, there's gonna be some brushback. Look no further than Battlefield. You know, the SJWs open their mouths and try to get involved in this Captain Marvel shit, and it must have been concerning if Disney had to get involved and try to remove these opinions. Yeah, Jemiah Dixon, true. Vote with your wallet. And then here was something I was gonna say. I guess what I was the comparison I was going to make would probably be more directed towards a movie studio or a publisher. trying to get into this SJW shit and side up with them and try to shame men into buying their product, that shit don't work. It's met with resistance. And the example I was going to use was, let's say they make a movie about Martin Luther King and they have a white man play the part of Martin Luther King. Naturally, there's going to be an uproar from black people saying Dr. King was black and you got him playing a white person. So here comes the studio and SJWs jumping up saying that Dr. King had a dream that was for everybody. And since the dream is for everybody, you know, we believe in his dream. So this is our depiction of Dr. King. This is our depiction of Dr. King's legacy. If you don't like the movie, don't watch it. How many black people you think will be in the theater? I know these are fictional characters, Jemiah, but where I'm going with this is, what's up, Guru the Legends? Where I'm going with this is that when you are trying to get something across to people, you cannot fight the majority. In the immortal words of Colin Cowherd, you never, ever back the bigger entity into a corner. And in the case of these comic book movies, whether the lead person is a man or a woman, the majority of comic book fans are men. And you go against them, you go against them in that sense, you bite in the hand that feeds you. You know, we've been down this road before when I talked about the battlefield situation. About it led to the censor. It started off with the censorship shit, Guru the Legends, because I'm wondering why Sony, you know, at first, civil rights wouldn't exist if that was the case. Maybe, but I'm still making a point that whoever it is you are trying to sell to, you cannot shame them and criticize them. You open up a Chinese restaurant and the bulk of your customers are Chinese, and then you go off and say some shit about Chinese people and try to shame them or try to insult them. How many of them are going to come back to that restaurant? And that's the point I'm trying to make. The fact of the matter is, and it shouldn't even be a racial thing or a gender thing. If you are trying to appeal to a wider audience, any part of that audience that you criticize is going to be met with resistance. They are not going to come see your shit. They're not going to buy your shit. I mean, how did that shit go with Gillette? You know, when they put that commercial out, you know, shaming men. You make a product for men and you make a commercial making men out to be pigs, and you still expect them to come buy razors from you? That's where I'm going with that. That Gillette commercial was not going to make me jump up, be like, you know what? You know, men are pigs. We need to do this. We need to do that. Let me go shoot to the store and buy a Gillette razor. Because that commercial really inspired me to want to, you know, go buy a Gillette razor and come home and shave. And once I'm clean shaven, I won't feel like such a pig. Mm-hmm. where I was, Garuda Legends, the reason why I use that Martin Luther King thing as an example is where I was trying to go with that was if they made a movie where Martin Luther King was anything but black, and black people said something about it, and then the movie company was like, if you don't watch it, if you don't like it, don't watch it. How many of them going to be in that movie theater? How many black people are going to be in that movie theater? I would agree with you, Jemiah Dixon, that people are making a big deal over nothing, but I think there's a time where people just need to shut their mouths and let things take their course. I mean, we're reaching a point with video games where when a game comes out that is story based, it's getting to the point where we have to double check to see if the game has any gender issues in it. I think I think these developers are getting caught in the crossfire. If a game comes out and whoever the lead person is, somebody starts bitching about it, then it's met with resistance from the other side. I think that's putting developers in a crossfire. Um, but at the same time, they need to just go ahead and make a game and make the game be what it is. Make the games for people enjoyment and not to appease an organization. So, but I went way left on that because I don't know why Sony censored that shit out on a game. I haven't seen it. I really wasn't paying much attention to that subject. But it got my attention over the last couple of days because that's been a big topic that everybody's been talking about. And I'm just like, one of the when I actually heard what happened, the first two things that hit my head was either Sony got fined or they're worried about backlash from feminist groups. You got to get back to work, Jemiah. All right, brother. You have a good night at work. I don't plan to be on very long anyway. So anyway, I felt like I did a circle and got nowhere with that censorship shit. So let's just move on to the next subject. So GDC is coming up. And I guess Google's is supposed to reveal some shit there. I think they're supposed to reveal their streaming service, hardware. Rumor has it they have teamed up with Sega, and they're talking to other devs. So the big thing that caught my attention about this is the I guess it's rumored that Google could unveil two consoles there, an all streaming console and a traditional console. And I guess this originated from Spawn Wave. I think a couple other YouTubers have credited him with this information. And so I guess the traditional console that Google could unveil has more power than the PlayStation Pro and the Xbox One X. If that's the case, and it's a traditional console, they definitely got my attention. I'd be curious to see what they have. He said civil rights is not for homos and non-blacks. Mm-hmm. Maybe that was not a good example, Garuda, but the point where I was trying to go with that, it wasn't about a civil rights issue. It was about if you're trying to appeal to a wider, if you're trying to appeal to a wide audience, it's probably not a good idea to target a particular part of that audience and criticize them. I definitely cannot use the I cannot use the Battlefield 5 situation enough. That game, I think that Battlefield 5 is a good game. But the game severely underperformed, not because of what kind of game it is, but because somebody opened their mouth and criticized a part of the demographic that they were trying to sell this game to. That's where I was going with that. EA shouldn't open their mouth. Activision, I understand, was met with some backlash over their Black Ops 4 shit. They didn't say anything. They didn't say anything. They just let everything play out. And even though the game did not meet their expectations, it still performed much, much better than Battlefield 5. So, but getting back to this Google Council thing, I have a big curiosity about what kind of material Google could, bring to gaming. I wonder if they're gonna have. I wonder if they got some exclusives coming down the pipeline. I wonder if they're gonna, work on some marketing deals. Because if they do introduce a traditional council, that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Because you're going to have Microsoft with a traditional council, even though we know they eventually going to get out of there, they still going to still supposedly put these consoles out for next generation. So you're going to have that, the PS5, and a Google console coming out. So that's going to be three traditional heavyweight consoles out there. I don't even include the Nintendo Switch in this because it's it's a totally different piece of hardware with different types of games. But I don't know if Google unveils a traditional console, you're gonna have a three-way fight next generation, which is fine with me. But the biggest reason why I put the Google console up there is you guys know me with the VR part. Being that we know that VR is growing, I wonder if Google plans to explore that at all, if they're going to have a traditional console. I really don't know, but I just, from a logical standpoint, said, dude, look up Chrome Steam Gaming. All Google did was announce a controller for the Chrome app. One thing, Garuda, I'm just hypothetically speaking about what's been rumored. I'm not gonna go dig up a bunch of receipts and stuff like that to see what's going on. this GDC coming up, I guess it's Monday or Tuesday or something like that. So whatever they're going to unveil, we'll find out then. I'm just if you check, Google might do another free beta with the app. Myself, if I'll put it this way, Guru the Legends, if at the GDC, if the only thing Google plans to announce is the streaming service, I got no interest in what they got to say. If they are going to introduce a traditional console, then they have my attention. Then I'm curious as to what kind of content they're going to bring to this traditional console. I'm curious if they're going to have exclusives. I'm curious if they would explore VR, if they would get into the VR market. That's where I stand on that. So me checking the Chrome steaming and all that kind of stuff, it's not going to make a difference, because what they saying now, if the controller is real, it is for Chrome streaming. I mean, everything is right now with this Google shit, at GDC, everything is rumor as far as I know. The hardware they're supposed to unveil is all rumor. But again, my stance on this is that if all they're going to do is introduce a streaming service and the hardware is all streaming related, I have no interest in it. I'm just hypothetically speaking on what I think, as to my curiosity of what kind of content they're going to have if they introduce a traditional console. If they introduce a traditional console, and if the rumors turn out to be true that it would be more powerful than the Xbox One X and the PlayStation Pro, I would be curious about it. And depending on what kind of content they would plan to bring, I could possibly buy it. And then me mentioning the VR thing, there's been no rumors about that whatsoever. That's just me wondering if that's something Google will be interested in exploring, being that VR is slowly growing. Because unless somebody else wants to become a major player in the VR market, next generation, the VR crown is basically Sony's to lose. So as far as that goes, that's where I stand on that. If they're only going to introduce streaming shit, I'm not interested in what they got to say. If they're going to introduce a traditional console, then yes, I'm interested in hearing what they got to say about it. And if they decided to explore the VR market, Google works with Android. The likelihood of Google dropping a device cheaper than $500 cell phone is below 2%. Well, if they do introduce a traditional console that's supposed to be more powerful than the X and the Pro, I would be led to believe that yes, it probably is going to cost at least $500. Well, I will say this though. You said, wait, what is a traditional console? My definition of a traditional console is a gaming console that will not have to rely on a cloud to perform. that is the term that is being thrown around now when describing our current consoles right now. The Xbox One, by the general definition, is a traditional console. So is the PS4. So, with that being said, if Google introduces a traditional console that functions like our current hardware, and you said Google is the definition of a cloud, I don't get what that's supposed to mean. You know, I'm being pretty direct about this Google thing. If they introduce the streaming service and they introduce a streaming console, I have no interest in what they got to say. If they introduce a traditional console, a console that functions without the use of the cloud, I would be interested in this cloud. I would be interested in the price, a release date, what kind of content they're going to have, and whether or not they would take a dip in VR. And if they do introduce a streaming console, I highly doubt that it's going to be $500. I would be led to believe that it would be considerably less. I mean, people are speculating what this all digital Xbox is going to cost. People are speculating what the streaming console is going to cost, being that a lot of people feel that it is a glorified Fire Stick. Or to put it in simple terms, if Google introduces a streaming console and it costs $500 or more, it is a pure streaming console, how many of those do you think they're going to sell? So I guess the last thing I want to talk about is something that is fact and not rumor. Sniper Elite is coming to VR. It will JP Local. Honestly, I don't think Google's console will take off. I still think that this cloud-based gaming, JP Local, is such a sticky one, because there are some people that's excited about trying it, and then there's people like me. There's people like me who are against it. So if Google, I'll put it this way. I think that if Google, if they introduce a streaming console, I think, give or take, they may get the same kind of results that Microsoft might get, even though Microsoft has been established in gaming for 20 years? The people, ooh, Microsoft is going to be off. What it is rumored that Microsoft is going to be offering multiple consoles, and it's still met with apprehension because of Microsoft's lack of content. So in the case of Microsoft, with their streaming console, I truly cannot predict what's going to happen with that. I just don't know, but I think they got a real challenge ahead of them, being that they're getting ready to go into a landscape that they haven't been before, and they're going to try to cover this landscape with a damaged reputation. Microsoft, you said you hope streaming crashes and burns. Hey, I'm with you on that. I just don't see. I just don't see the benefits of it over. I don't see the benefits of it over a traditional console. Rudy, you said I seen Google doing a Chrome streaming on a CNET. A Google console is less than 21% likely not to happen. That Google controllers for PC. Hey, if that Google controllers for PC, I might pick it up. So again, as far as this Google console goes, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just speaking hypothetically by, hey, let's say they introduce a streaming console. Let's say they introduce a traditional console. This is what I think could happen. This is what they would have to provide for me to be interested in it. I have no idea what they plan on showing at this GDC. I don't know who's going to be there, what they're going to bring. You said get two. One controller might be worth money for later for resale. I don't know. If there's anything out there that I would want with the intentions of reselling it or even collecting it right now, it would be that translucent PS4, the PS4 Pro. But going back to the Sniper Elite thing, there was an announcement trailer from the developers. I think the developers called Just Add Water Studios or something. And they did announce that Sniper Elite is coming to VR and is going to be based on Sniper Elite 4. And it's going to be a standalone VR game, and it will support the aim controller. I don't know any more than that, but whether it's crossplay or not remains to be seen. If it is crossplay, it would be welcome, at least in the VR landscape. I think we do. I'm not going to say that we need it, but I think crossplay helps as far as VR goes, because there's not, with Oculus Vive and PSVR, there's not near as many headsets out there as it is consoles. Xbox and you said PS VR and Vive are just. I think this game is coming to all of them, Oculus, Vive, and PSVR. I think the question is whether this game is going to be cross-stream or not. Said your VR streams are so fun. I wish you had more subs. Hey, thanks, Garuda. I really appreciate that. But at the end of the day, I'm still very humbled by the subs that I do have. I think I have 484 subs, and I'm still very humbled and still very grateful for to have that amount of subs. I mean, that's 484 people that want to hear what you got to say. That's 484 people that want to see the games that you play. So, um, and right now, this is still my passion. This is still my hobby. This is still my enjoyment. Support gaming. Say cloud gaming, game streaming is a gimmick. If it was viable, PC would have transitioned by now. And for most of the internet, technology isn't capable of running games at the same level. Game streaming, support gaming, I just don't see what the benefit is for the consumer. I can only assume. My guess is, not, and I could be wrong. I could be way off the track, but I feel like the industry is trying to push game streaming so they can be in 100% control what they distribute to you. JP Local, do I think Microsoft will do VR, or do I think they've abandoned VR? JP Local, I think that if Microsoft was in Sony's position, yes, they would be doing VR. But Microsoft has promoted Game Pass and talked so much about this xCloud that they have, made the console irrelevant. That process started when they allowed games to go over to PC. I mean, now what? The latest news was that Halo, the Master Chief Collection, is going over to Steam. So that means that I would like to think that means people are going to be able to go over to Steam and buy Halo and play it online and not be required to have Xbox Live in order to play it. If Microsoft keeps going that route, it's going to be advantageous to buy to play the Microsoft games on the PC. But getting back to answering the question, JP Local, I do not think that Microsoft is going to get involved in VR the way Sony is. Again, the way Microsoft has promoted Game Pass and promoted the cloud, they've made the console irrelevant. With that being said, I don't think Microsoft, they can't realistically expect that these consoles are going to sell 90 million, 100 million, whatever. And I think it would simply be a waste of money for Microsoft to get involved in VR right now. If they're trying to sell the service and they're trying to promote cloud gaming, to me, it makes no sense for them to, even get involved in VR. I think when they first mentioned it and they were supposed to be partnering up with Oculus, I think that would have been your best chance for them to sell VR. And I think it would have been the best chance for it to function properly if they would have partnered with Oculus and put VR on the Xbox One X. I mean, people have opinions as to why Microsoft didn't do it. Some people think Microsoft didn't do it because the Xbox One and the Xbox One S are incapable of it, and Microsoft says they're not leaving anyone behind. I came to the conclusion that Microsoft did not do it because it did not get off the ground very well, because Sony got off to a slow start with VR. And that goes back to me saying that Microsoft is looking for drug money. Whenever they do something, they expect a shitload of money to come back to them, and they expect the money to come back to them now. I think this cloud gaming is really the only thing that Microsoft is building for the future and looking at the big picture and looking years down the road. I think if Microsoft would have got involved in VR, they would have expected a shitload of money to come back from it tomorrow. They would not have gotten involved with VR with a big picture in mind, with them looking 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years down the road for VR. I think that's the vision with Sony, though. I think they got a long-term vision for VR. I think, at the very least, I think Sony's going to at least stick around through next generation with VR and then go from there. You said local developers will get lazier and lazier. The quality of games will diminish if streaming only becomes the norm. And the crazy part about it is they might be able to get away with that kind of bullshit, because if you don't have a good connection, you're going to get that blurred screen before the buffering is done and shit like that, and then you get a clear picture. Guru Legends, the Microsoft experience, the HoloLens 1, 2 are Microsoft VR and AR. Shit, that AR costs a goddamn arm and a leg. That shit, I think that shit costs like a couple $1,000. I got no interest in that. Said Microsoft was also selling Acer VR with their Dell laptop line around the time the Xbox's release date. And it said, dude, Microsoft showed HoloLens and now have HoloLens 2. Will ever touch the Xbox. Microsoft has VR and AR. Yeah, I know for a fact that AR is never going to come to the Xbox, but that's probably a better way to put a Garuda Legends. If Microsoft continues to stick around in VR, they're going to do it for PC. I don't think they're going to do it for Xbox. I don't know. I wouldn't exactly know. I don't know their reasons for not doing it this generation, but I think it doesn't make sense at all to do it for next generation, being that, putting it bluntly, I think Microsoft knows that their next generation of consoles are not going to sell. At least they're not going to outsell the PS5. And again, I think it would be a waste of research and development money and marketing money for them to even try to bring VR to these consoles if they're not going to sell. I think right now we can make a rough guess that there's about 95 million PlayStations out there, but there's about 5 million PlayStation VR headsets out there. So what would that equate to? Maybe 6%, 6 or 7% of all the PlayStations that's out there. About 6% of the owners own a PlayStation VR. Now move those numbers over to the Xbox. Move that 6% over to the Xbox. That number will be absolutely abysmal. That number will be horrible. Excuse me, especially being that I think the VR would not work on the Xbox One or the Xbox One S. The Xbox One X would probably be the only console in Microsoft's lineup that would be capable of running VR. With that being said, how many Xbox One X's have been sold? Microsoft claims that they hit 40 million, however many months ago. How many of those 40 million consoles that Microsoft claims to have sold, how many of them are Xbox One X's? If you want me to, if I had to guess, I probably say Xbox One X is out there, probably 3 to 5 million. So for the sake of making my argument, if Microsoft sold 5 million Xbox One X's and only 6% of those owners had VR, how many is that? what, 6% of a million? What's that? About 60,000 times 5. We'd probably be looking at about three. We would probably be looking at about 300,000. So if I were to take that 6% that I guessed on Sony and applied that to Microsoft, if I made a rough guess that there was about 5 million Xbox One X's out there and only 6% of those people had a VR headset, that would equate to about 300,000. And how much money will have Microsoft have spent to bring that platform to the Xbox One X? They would have lost a shitload of money if they would have brought VR, to the Xbox platform. PC and PS4 gamers are loving VR. Even my phone is VR compatible. Why don't Xbox dudes want this epic VR in this facepalm? I mean, that's a good question, but I mean, the answer is so obvious with Phil Spencer telling them what they want, telling them what they should want. You know what I mean? I honestly think, like Japanese games are struggling on the Xbox platform. But I really, really think that if Phil Spencer really got out there and really promoted that shit and really, really pushed it really, really hard, I really think the Japanese games would do better on the Xbox because Phil Spencer told them to like it. JP Local, you said the only reason Xbox One X exists was to take an advantage that Sony had, so they could have bragging rights. Yeah, I mean that became obvious from the minute they announced it because um, they announced it right around the time that Sony revealed the PS4 Pro and said our shit's going to do real 4K, real 60 and shit like that to try to stifle sales of the PlayStation Pro, even though the Xbox One X was still a whole year and a half out. You said Phil's busy with his new career. He got a cast for a lead role in the martial arts film titled "The Way of the Sega." JP Local, you said Xbox guys do want VR. They just want it for Microsoft only. Again, JP Local, I gotta apply that again. I think if VR was on the Xbox platform, it would flop. I think it would flop because um, it is believed that the Xbox One and the Xbox One S are incapable of running VR, and that the Xbox One X would be the only console capable of running VR. But with that being said, you take the same percentage, you take that same percentage that I used on Sony and apply that to the estimated numbers of Xbox One X's that are out there right now. And like I said, you don't even hit 350,000 headsets sold. Matter of fact, if if Microsoft if Microsoft would have went ahead and got involved in VR to partner up with Oculus, in my opinion, is the only way they could have done it and not lose a shit ton of money. If they would have went ahead and developed their own headset the way Sony did, they would have lost a fuckload of money. In fact, I think if Microsoft would have got involved in VR and developed their own headset, they would have ended up dumping VR quicker than they dumped the Kinect. I cannot believe this. This dude was supposed to have stayed out of my shit. Something about some green screen of death shit. Let me see what this shit is. Let me see what this shit's about. Oh, look at that headline. It said Google is shutting down its in-house VR film studio. I don't know. Maybe the Oculus Go is not performing. I don't know. Who knows? But green screen of death. Xbox One. Let's read about this. I did a Google on this shit and got links on it going back as far as 2015. So does that mean that an old problem came back? You said Sony's been too quiet lately. We need to hear from them soon. You know what, JP Local? I have to admit, now that I have my PC, Sony can take their sweet time doing whatever they got to do. Because before I got my PC, I was anxious for Sony to go ahead and hurry up and make these announcements and hurry up and take us into the next generation, mainly because of the next generation VR. Because all of the shortcomings of the current VR would be rectified next generation. And I'm speaking mostly what I'm speaking of is AAA games and multiplayer games. I assume that that's going to be addressed. I assume that that's going to be addressed next generation. Bottom line is, I think we're going to see more AAA games and more multiplayer games coming from Sony on the VR next generation. And with that being said, that's why I was in a hurry for Sony to hurry up and get on to the next generation. But now that no, my PC's not fixed yet, JP Local. It's at the service center. It's been unboxed, and staged in their repair area. That was the last update that I got on it. Oh, excuse me. But now that I have the PC, now that I have the Oculus Rift, they have what I'm looking for as far as VR games goes. Not necessarily Oculus, because Steam has way more games than the Oculus store. But they have what I'm looking for. They have a shit ton of free games there, and they have a shit ton of multiplayer games. I said this before. When it comes to traditional games, you know, we're playing games on a TV. There's a shit ton of multiplayer games out there, service-based games, and I'd like to, you know, and thank God for Sony, because if Sony wasn't pumping out the compelling hits they put out right now, single-player games would be on life support. The shit would be damn near dead. I think the only franchise that would continue to run as far as single player games goes would be the Tomb Raider franchises and the Assassin's Creed. Other than that, there's not too many single player games coming from third parties. With that being said, if it wasn't for Sony, single player games would be just about dead. There's a fuckload of multiplayer games out there and service based games. With the PlayStation Store, it is the total opposite. There's a fuckload of single player games over there, and to me, not enough multiplayer games. That's why I was in a big hurry for Sony to hurry up and take us into the next generation. But now that I have my PC and that Oculus Rift, you know, my wants and needs have been met. And then support gaming. You said Battlefield VR for next generation. Shit, some of those type of games are already out there on Steam. There is a VR first-person shooter game called War Dust. It is 32 versus 32. It is wide-scale combat that, you know, involves, you know, vehicles, tanks, jeeps, helicopters, all kinds of shit. It is basically Battlefield in VR. That is my type of game. The only thing I question about the game is the cost. I think the game costs $20, and I was reading some of the reviews on the game, and it seemed to be mixed reviews on the game. But there's several games out there. I think there is a and then Warzone. That game is still coming. That game is supposed to be coming to all platforms, and it's supposed to be crossplay. 50 players, 10 squads of 5 players. The game is currently in beta right now on Steam. I want to participate in the beta, but I would rather play the game on the PlayStation VR because of the aim control. Same thing when this Sniper Elite comes to VR, I'm going to buy the game on the PlayStation VR because it supports the aim controller. Garuda, you said I just need a battlefield that is Battlefield. World War II era, Battlefield 4. That game is lit. I would like to see a new Battlefield game. This up to date again. This modern, with modern weapons, modern vehicles. I would like to see that. And if EA were to add a VR mode to it, that would be even better. Being that Sony is promising bigger and better experiences for VR next generation, I hope that means they're going to reach out to some of these third-party developers and give them incentive to want to bring VR to their franchises. You've seen some of the games that I've played. For next generation, I believe it can be done for a game like Madden or MLB The Show to be able to have a VR mode. It can be done. Oh yeah, Garuda, I love that aim controller. As a matter of fact, when I get my computer back, now there is a soccer game on Steam, a VR soccer game. This game is basically FIFA in VR. It is fully playable. But when I read the reviews on the game, some of the people said the controls are fucked up, so that's got me reluctant to try the game. But god damn, it looks like a lot of fun though. I definitely want to try it. It's 10:30 right now. In a few minutes, I'm going to go ahead and shut the stream down and eat. And then I think I'm going to jump on Firewall again. Hopefully the stream won't be fucked up. There was some issues with YouTube when I was trying to stream Firewall. Hopefully that's been resolved because I'm feeling like playing some Firewall again tonight. I guess my PC being gone is giving me the opportunity to reconnect with my PlayStation VR. The headset misses me. And I have to give the headset that TLC and reassure them that I'm not going anywhere. Oh, man, excuse me, people. Good Lord. He said, you will watch Firewall. That stream is funny hearing people talk in the chat. Yeah, definitely. But in the same breath, I'm also looking forward to getting my PC back and playing Contractors. I think that's I think out of the first-person shooter games that I have on Oculus, I think I've got 3 of them. I've got Contractors, Pavlov, and Zero Caliber, which was originally supposed to be Special Forces VR. That was supposed to come to all platforms. As far as I know, Zero Caliber is still supposed to be coming to the PlayStation. When it's going to come to the PlayStation remains to be seen. But out of the Well, I'll put it this way: based on the experience that I had with Zero Caliber so far, I don't know if Sony would let them bring that shit over here right now, because the game made me a little bit woozy, because when I was turning from left to right, it seemed a little bit skittish. It wasn't smooth. So the game leads me to believe that it's got some frame issues. Garuda, you said it's so fun to hear people in game talk. They say some funny stuff. Yeah, they do. It's also funny to see how bodies go flying like rag dolls when they get caught by grenades and C4s and shit like that. That shit's funny as hell too. You see, Joystick Guru went live about an hour ago. He's playing the Beat Saber DLC pack as well. So I have to check his stream out when I get ready to go to bed. But I think that's about it. I think that's all I got. And as usual, you guys know how we get down on Friday. You know, we get down with the round table. Friday at 9 o'clock. You know how crazy it is. Appreciate it, Garuda Legends. Still bear in mind that a lot of the stuff that I said tonight, you know, with the Google Council, and even with the censorship thing, it was, you know, hypothetically speaking, just like, you know, hey, what if it was this scenario? What was that? What if it was that scenario? You know, and I was even speaking hypothetically on the Take-Two rumor with, you know, Sony acquiring Take-Two. The only thing that I spoke about tonight that is facts was the Sniper Elite coming to VR. I'm really excited about that, but I do question one thing about Sniper Elite coming to VR. I understand it is a slow week, so no props. Okay, cool. With the Sniper Elite coming to VR, the PlayStation in particular, I have not seen a first-person shooter game on the PlayStation VR where you're using a sniper rifle with a scope on it and the scope functions properly. It does not. Bravo Team is the only game that I've seen where there was a weapon that had a scope on it. And it did not work. When I pulled the gun up to try to look through the scope had a screenshot frozen inside the scope. It did not work. Now the scope did work when I played Zero Caliber. When I pulled the sniper rifle up and looked through the scope did work on that one. You know, I do think that game, The Perfect Sniper, I think the scope did work on that one, but that was a severe compromise. I think the scope on the sniper rifles do work on the Perfect Sniper, but the game looks like, you know, the game got fucking Minecraft type graphics. All Garuda Legends, there's no question I'm going to buy Sniper Elite. I'm definitely going to buy it day one, and more. And that's, like I was saying, because of the aim controller, in all likelihood, I'm going to buy it for the PlayStation VR. What's up, Ian? PlayStation Ghoul? PlayStation Ghoul? Bottom line, you know, when it comes to these first person shooter games in VR, Guru Legends, I would prefer to buy them on the PlayStation VR because of the aim controller, but I think the hardware makes the game. I think the hardware limits the game. I think in the case of like Zero Caliber, and Contractors, those games, I don't like holding my hands in that imaginary position as if I got the rifle in my hand. I'm getting used to it now, but I did not like it in the beginning. But because of how interactive those games are, it's necessary for it to be that way, because you still, you can still roam your hands around freely to go down to your belt. You can still pull out your handgun, pull out grenades, pull out knives, pull out clips, and physically load the guns. But with that being said, games like Contractors and Zero Caliber are much more interactive than Firewall. Firewall is your basic nuts and bolts of hold the gun and shoot. In the case of the other games that I was talking about on PC, you could actually perform the physical. You can perform the physical action of actually bending down and like picking a knife up off the ground. Like a game like Firewall, if you walk over a body and you see guns on the ground and you want to pick that gun up, the only thing you're going to see is the X button. And then when that circle outlines the X button, the gun disappears and it's in your possession. In the case of Contractors or Zero Caliber, you can physically bend down in real life and reach down on the ground and pick that gun up, pick the knife up, whatever it is. So it reminds me of arcade games in the late 80s, early 90s. Yeah, I just can't. I can't play these games with these Minecraft type graphics. I just can't. It's just, yes, immersive because you're in the game, but it doesn't feel like reality because you're surrounded by a bunch of blocks and squares. But we're inching closer to 11 o'clock and I still haven't eaten yet. I need to go ahead and knock that out. Yeah, Garuda, you said VR is so VR is now that advanced. Yes, it is. I seen some videos that I thought was pretty funny. Some people made some comedy videos out of Zero Caliber and Contractors because like I think on those two games, friendly fire is on. You can kill your teammates. And these guys were making comedy videos where they were like shooting each other in the head. They were throwing knives at each other, throwing knives and getting the knives stuck in each other's head. One of the funny things they would do was they would all stand in a circle and one guy would pull his grenade out and drop it on the ground and everybody would go running because they don't know if he pulled the pin on the grenade or not. And that's one of the other things that's really cool about the game. Like, let's say you pull a grenade off of your belt so you can get ready to throw it. You got to do more than pull that grenade out. You have to pull it out with one hand and use your other hand to physically pull the pin out of that grenade and then throw it before it explodes. So that was one of the games that they were playing on Contractors. That, like somebody was standing in the middle, he would pull a grenade out and you don't know if he pulled the pin or not. So he would drop the grenade on the ground. And if they thought he pulled the pin, they took off running. If they thought he didn't pull the pin, they would stay there. So I thought that was pretty cool too. So yeah, I mean, when I get a chance, Garuda, I'll find some of those comedy videos on Zero Caliber and Contractors and link them to you. But yeah, that's what we got. That's the news for you. I'm really excited about Sniper Elite coming to VR. I've never played the game, to tell you the truth. I've never played Sniper Elite before, but I don't care because it is another much needed first-person shooter that that's going to be coming to the PlayStation VR. God knows they need another first-person shooter in the worst way. They got 1 trillion of them over on Steam. And like I said, because of Steam, because of the games that they have over there, I'm not in such a hurry anymore Sony to hurry up and get on to the next generation. If I didn't have Steam, if I didn't have the Oculus Rift, yeah, I'd be screaming for Sony to hurry up and get on to the next generation so we can get some of these multiplayer games in there. So, with that being said, I'm gonna get ready to get on out of here, grab a bite to eat, and come back shortly and do a little bit of firewall before I call it a night. So, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. You guys definitely made it interesting in the chat. You guys know the drill. Give it a like. And I'll see you guys in a little bit after I eat. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll holler at y'all in a little bit.